All right, so what we're doing today is just going to butcher the doe that we shot, or that I shot 4 days ago. Whole family's involved. They don't like being on camera, but too bad. So, got the fridge all cleaned out. The deer was in there for 4 days. Going to bring it out. Front legs first. We mainly just put everything in deer burger. So the front legs especially, we'll just get those out, sit them down. They'll just basically, what we try to do is separate the red from the white. That's how we kind of tell them what to do, is get all the fat off, the skin off, the bones away, put it in the trays. I'll do the tenderloins while they're doing those front legs, and then on the back legs, mainly the same thing. I'll probably cut a chunk out for jerky later and everything like that. So. If your knife gets dull, what we use, Outdoor Edge has this nice little set that we got, nice little sharpener on it. So her knife is not very sharp, so all you do, get on there a few times. I'm gonna get away from her as I do it, just because she's
super bloody red.
yeah. It's just, if you don't want to eat it, throw it away. We should be able to do this. You don't have to be real particular. Like, look right there. Gone. Makes it a lot easier that way. We try to get everybody involved in knowing how to do this stuff in the family. That way, if everything, it came down to it and they have to do it, they know how. Huh? It could happen, yeah. Could be very important information with the year we're having and everything that's kind of going on in the world right now. So here, if you're working on that leg.
Part of the situation going on here right now is that the processing places are full. So some are not taking deer this year.
Yes.
And some are booked into next year for like beef and hogs, and
the place we went to is booked until November of next year.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was because of during the COVID shutdown, when some of the processing plants shut down, the big processing plant,
That's fine. It'll go.
and
Yeah, just throw it in there.
I don't know exactly why then that made all the small butchering places. I think people got scared. And
Everybody else went to the small butchering.
Everybody started trying to use the small butchering places while the big ones, the big like plants were backed up.
Yeah.
So now you can't get in at a butchering place if you weren't already scheduled. So.
Yep.
So we're glad that we know how to do this.
It's very handy. Learned from my dad kind of growing up. You know, they butchered their own most of the time. Then learned a lot from our neighbors here, where, I mean, we butchered our own hogs, deer, you know, everything up there. So we're not real particular on the cuts. Some people want a certain cut to make certain roasts, everything. We just don't do a lot of roasts like that. The in-laws who live next door usually get a beef, and that's where we use our roasts, you know, there. So the deer meat usually just is ground up burger for nachos, chili, tacos, anything that we can make it, lasagnas, meatloaf I've made. Hard to do hamburger with, like I said earlier, just because there's no fat in this meat. So if you want to do hamburgers, you have to mix it with beef, you know, to get it to work. So.
Or you can mix it with bacon grease and eat it all together.
Good binding agent there. So. A lot of it. You good? All right, so what I like to do with our tenderloins, though, is I usually cut them when we're going to cook them, but I mainly just want to get all the little excess fat off. There's kind of this white little filmy, you know, membrane on the outside. I like taking that off. It just for some reason, you know, the deer fat to me tastes real kind of greasy and waxy.
It's more gamey than beef.
Yeah, it's more gamey, but like we tried to do ribs last year or the year before, and it was real like a wax film from the fat and stuff on it. I'm not a huge rib fan anyway, but the kids really like ribs, and I just don't think they went over all that well. So what I'm just going to really kind of do is try to separate, if Honor can zoom in to see, just get as much of this membrane stuff off without.
Is it recording?
Yes.
Okay. I think it's been recording.
It
Yes.
has been.
Yeah, better be. Hopefully she does a better job recording than I do while I'm out hunting, because now that's 2 deer in a row that I haven't hit record on. So I'm just trying to get this stuff off. Huh?
I don't think it
No,
violates
people
any
butcher
terms.
all the time on it.
Justin Rhodes posts his butchering videos.
They might get demonetized.
Well, we're not
You would
monetized
have
right
to
now
get
anyway,
monetized
so.
first to get demonetized.
That's right.
Well, if a person with a huge following would get demonetized.
Well, hey, it'd be awesome if one day we got a huge following, but
Go ahead and like and subscribe while we're
yeah.
thinking of that.
Yeah, like and subscribe right to our channel. This is posted under The House That Never Slumbers. This deer has so much fat on it.
I'm really concerned about the amount of fat on this deer because that
Wrong way.
is supposed to mean a worse
That's what I'm
winter.
doing.
It's okay, you don't have to put me on the camera.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of fat on a deer is generally means that the winter will be worse because then they'll need that extra fat to stay warm.
Yeah, it seems like the animals know what's going on. But for the most part, I got this first tenderloin how I want it. And then what I usually do is I'll just kind of cut it in about 3 sections. And then that's how it's done. Leave it at that, and then when you go to cook it, they can do whatever, huh?
That might fall as well.
It may have fell off, yeah. So you go to cook it, you know, you can slice it then, butterfly it, do whatever you want. Wrap it in bacon, just cook it as a whole, and then, you know, get it that way. So that's really what I tried to do with these. Pretty simple, pretty easy.
You want the saran
That
wrap
going,
for
yeah, if you want to
Random.
saran wrap, well, we can wash them off right here at this sink. Handy little sink we got. I'll start doing this, getting this other one cleaned off. That one looks better, so I'll give that to the landowner. Just kind of going through.
You just wrap one per saran wrap. That's good.
You can, yeah.
That's good. Or do you put 2 in?
Usually,
A little bit
I
of
do
okay.
one. It just depends. Like with our family, we do 2. We got a big family, so we usually cook at least 2 at a time. But the family that's going to get these, we'll just do 1 at a time, and then they can do it as needed. So we just saran wrap it up. Some people put butcher paper around that too. We tend to eat it fast enough that we really don't have any issues. We'll do that and then put it in freezer bags when it's done. Just mark their names on this one, on that bag. But usually don't take too long.
Not as well.
Yeah. Whole family helps. You usually can get this done and cleaned up in about an hour. Huh? No, talk. It's fine.
I didn't like hear that.
That I'm on crack? That's what I thought you said.
How do you spell tenderloin? Is it like tenderloin?
Just put
tenderloin.
tender, L-O-I-N.
O-I-N?
Yep.
Okay.
Opposite of lion.
Okay.
Not the opposite.
I can't
Well,
do
those
it
2
without-
letters.
I can't do it without spell check.
It's true. Opposite of lion would. What would the opposite of lion be?
N-O-I-N.
Lamb. Lion and a lamb.
Lion. That's what I meant. What the animal that would be opposite?
Right?
I mean, that's
Spell
what.
it backwards.
That's what I was expecting.
Handy sink. They did put a bucket underneath this, otherwise just let it go on the ground, and I don't know why we're not letting it go on the ground.
Because I didn't want to puddle right there.
Because she didn't
Right
want a
by the
puddle
door.
right there. I get that. Okay.
Like thinking.
All right, get much of that water off there.
We actually had to go to church to get this sink because we had been using it at the church all summer. We were having an outdoor service on Sunday evenings, so we took it up there so people could wash their hands before eating.
With the whole, pandemic going on, people need to be clean.
I'm a fan of hand washing anyway. The rest
Yeah.
of the people here are not.
We just look at it as you're building your immune system.
Since 2017. So it came from my grandparents' house when they passed away, and we were splitting up everything at their house. And my parents took it, they put it in their garage. They were planning to switch it out for the refrigerator that was in their utility room because that one was too big for the space anyway. But it stayed in their garage so long that my mom thought it was probably not a working fridge anymore. And so when their other fridge went out, they just bought a new apartment-sized one to fit there anyway. But when we brought this over here the other day to try to store the deer in because it was too warm outside, we realized that this is an identical fridge to the one we have upstairs in our house. And the things that go on these shelves in ours upstairs were broke. One of those was broken, and we had paid $40 to get a new one at one point, and it broke within a few months. So now we have extras of these for our upstairs fridge. So that was really, really excited because we were holding that together with duct tape. And now we have one that's not held together with duct tape.
And we still didn't learn our lesson. We'll still overpack those shelves, so that's why we have
we're
extras.
We're still gonna have too many bottles of ketchup and stuff, and probably still break.
We'll still break them,
things.
so at least we have 4 extras sitting over there.
Yeah, I'm trying to do a better job here. Let me put one of these on the camera. See these? They like fit our fridge perfectly. It's amazing, and all the extra shelves and everything fit our fridge upstairs. So if we break any of our shelves or our drawers, we have extras of those too. That's why you hoard things, because you might need them someday.
Huh? That's all right. All right, these ones are ready to be wrapped. Now with ours, we'll do 2. Because I mean, if we do steaks, we always do 2 packages of it, so.
If the saran wrap, that's one thing about being outside, the saran wrap wants to blow around and stick to itself. Okay, just put them down there to hold the saran wrap, and I'll figure
Deal with
it
it.
out.
Don't lose the steak. That's the most important part right there. The rest we use a lot. This is the best tasting. So we got this at Cabela's 2 years ago now. I mean, it was kind of an expense. You know, most of the time around here, people charge about $80 to $90 to butcher a deer. So we bought this, spent a little bit more than that, but it's already been through 5-6 deer, so it's saved us money already. So she's got it going. It's real simple to do. She'll just pull the meat out, put it in there. I mean, you just have to get.
We're really thankful that we have this actually this year because of the processing situation that a lot of places aren't taking here. So.
Well, and our neighbors, kind of got out of their butchering. We used their grinder and stuff for a while as well, and they got out of it, sold everything else. So we're really grateful we made this purchase. Otherwise, we'd be running out doing it right now.
And I found another one, not the same kind, but I found a different grinder at Goodwill a few weeks ago for $10. And I plugged it in and it worked. So we actually have 2 grinders. If we were doing a bigger deer, we would probably have both of those
Or
out.
multiple.
Or if we were doing multiple deer in the same day, which happens sometimes.
Time lapse.
Using actually a bigger holes and stuff this time than I have in the past, so kind of want to see how it comes out. It's kind of Just pull it out so you get here. And there we go. I actually kind of like that better.
I don't. I
You
don't
want it
like
smaller?
Yeah, I want it smaller.
Okay, well that's
Let me
fine. We'll
rinse
get through
that up
this.
Yeah.
It don't need rinse. It's brand new. I think we double grind it so it'll. I can
Well,
switch
let
and
me
go the
see-
smaller one
let
on the
me see
second
what
one if you
happens
want.
when I go to the second set.
Go ahead. When you butcher, what I tend to like and everything though is you don't want the meat frozen, but you want it right about there, you know, close where it's nice and solid. If it gets too warm, it's just as rubbery and it's hard to cut. So.
My grandma had a hand crank grinder at her house that she used to make stuff, and I'm really glad right now that I'm not having to use a hand crank grinder.
More of an experience.
It would be an experience, but it also take a lot longer.
I think we still have it though, in case there's no power ever. We
Grandpa
could
makes his
still...
ham salad with one.
Is
Yeah.
that what he used? That's the one then from Nanny's, I
one.
think.
No, he had an option.
Oh,
Well,
I'm
we
sure
probably have more than one.
probably have more than one.
He did about 6.
Knowing
We like to have a
Sure.
backup for our backup. That's the first rule of being prepared.
Survivals.
It's also called hoarding.
There's a difference.
Yeah, hoarding is definitely something that could never be useful, like
Trash.
newspapers.
We were all thankful that I'm a hoarder when we had plenty of toilet paper.
that is true. When everybody else was scrambling to get
Although even when you have like 2 of the big cases from Sam's Club, the big 96 roll cases, that doesn't last very long here anyway, so it really wasn't as stocked as we should have been probably.
Well, there shouldn't have been a shutdown.
Created a lot of different demand than is usual, and it will probably all work itself out eventually, but it's always good to have emergency supplies, emergency stores of food, because your money's worth nothing if you can't buy food. Like, food is more important than money. So.
Well, and it's so important just to know how to do this stuff.
Yeah, we like to make sure that our kids know how to get the food that they would need if anything ever happens to the major food supply grid, because we can't store enough food to last like months at a time. There's too many of us. So the best thing that we can do is make sure that our kids know how to get the food themselves, to butcher themselves. If they need to go take a deer, they can get it, because if the whole grid goes down, you know, there is no hunting season. You just get whatever you can get. I'm sure like there won't be any.
If the family needs to eat,
Yeah.
you find a way to eat.
Yeah, and we actually could like tag things under farm tags probably anyway.
With the land and everything.
With my dad's farm.
And knowing enough other farmers around that don't necessarily hunt themselves too would be willing to do things like that as well. So.
But like we have our own chickens, so we could still have eggs.
Yep.
They're,
Grow our own gardens.
yeah, we don't can enough. We should can more, but I know how to do it. Like we've learned how, so that if it ever becomes necessary, and we have like the jars and stuff that we would need if we do have to can our stuff. We actually like the frozen vegetables better, but if there was no electricity, that wouldn't really.
Right, right.
That wouldn't help
But
us very much.
That's why we have the wood stove and everything too.
Yeah.
I mean, just to be sufficient in case, you know, times got really, really crazy. I mean, it's happened in the past, and you never know what could happen in the future. So.
You just don't know what could take like the supply grid down so quickly. And we've been fortunate that it hasn't been that bad this year where we are. We've not, I mean, other than a couple of days when it was hard to get toilet paper, that was about it. And then frozen pizzas. You couldn't get frozen pizzas. I don't know. Like apparently having all the kids home from school made everyone buy frozen pizzas and dino nuggets, because you could not find the dino nuggets.
Yeah.
But other than that, our area did not have a lot of shortages, and we could always get to our grocery stores. But one thing that really changed like my thought process, a few years back there was a strike with Hostess, and this is the craziest thing to change my whole food like thought process on food. But there was a strike with Hostess, and I would go in this one gas station every week when my girls would have dance, because I'd go in and get gas and then we'd go in and get drinks. And we went in there one week, and all the shelves that had all the Hostess like cupcakes and stuff were wiped. and there's like nothing in this gas station. It was just bare shelves there. And that had only been after like 1 week of that Hostess strike. And so even though I like never would buy those there anyway, because they're too expensive at a gas station when you can buy a whole box at another store, I would never just buy them at the gas station, but just them not being there like really freaked me out, because I'm thinking, what if that was all the bread? What if that was all the meat? What if that was all the milk? And so it just showed how quickly like an interruption in the supply chain can make the shelves be empty. And so after that, the kids were little then, and I started thinking about how we really need it to be able to get food no matter what happens, because like you just don't know. We're 1 week away from if the transportation grid goes down, then you're not getting that food. And that's a little bit of what we saw this spring and summer. It was more the transportation issues a lot than there not being the food there. It was not getting from the warehouses to the grocery stores. So that's just some of our thought processes on it.
Yep.
But we try to make sure that we know how we can get our own food no matter what.
Right. So we got, how much? You already got 1 or 2 packages of 4 put up, right?
2 packages of 4 put up, yeah.
So we got 28 pounds roughly of burger out of that deer. Then we got, the 2 tenderloins, the 2 innerloins. So probably, 100-pound field dressed deer, right around that. I didn't really, weigh it. So, but like I said, right around 100 pounds. We're going to end up right around 40, 45 pounds of meat out of it. So, it's a good ratio. Now that I've had all my hunting stuff for years, it didn't cost as much this year. Initially you get into hunting, it's expensive meat, but all the years keep going. There's 4 in there, or 2 in there,
Yeah,
right?
those can go to
We'll
our
split
freezer.
this up.
We actually still have a deer that we butchered in December of last year. We still have a lot of that in our freezer, so we'll probably end up giving that to some friends.
Yep.
So that we can just keep adding more.
Because I'm sure we'll get at least 1 more.
Yeah, we'll probably take another one at least this year. Sometimes we give, like the neighbors will take one if we don't need a deer and we get one. The neighbors will take one and they'll have it. We'll drop it off at the processing plant and then they'll pay for the processing of that. But I don't know this year if they don't take those. I don't know if they'll want that or not.
Yeah, I need to call them and ask. Because I do
Yeah,
have
we
an
need
elderly couple
Yeah, that relies on this.
that get a deer from me every year. So the next deer I shoot, that's what'll happen. I'll go to them. I will call the butcher shop just to see. So there we go. We're all set. Just got to clean up the rest of the way. Pretty easy to do. Like I said, it's nice when everybody helps.
Yeah, and outside it's easy to clean up. We're just gonna hose all that table off.
Makes it so much easier.
So much easier.
It will be nice one day though if I have a pole barn
Yeah.
to do this in, but that's in the future. But thanks for watching. Follow us on Instagram. Please, subscribe. Click the little notification bell, right? So that pops up whenever we do our next videos you can watch. Hopefully we got more interesting videos. I got the one about cleaning the fridge out. I got one on actually field dressing the deer and then skinning it out. And then we'll have some more hunting ones coming. So thanks for watching.